Good morning, afternoon, evening to you, wherever you are in the world. Today we are going to talk about collision detection, which is crucial in 2D games for ensuring objects interact correctly, such as a character colliding with a wall or an enemy. It can be implemented using bounding boxes, circles, or polygons. Proper collision detection is vital for the game's realism and gameplay experience, as it prevents characters from passing through objects. Additionally, it determines the outcome of interactions, such as a character taking damage when colliding with an enemy. In summary, collision detection is essential for 2D games to ensure physics and gameplay work as intended. There are several ways to implement collision detection in Godot 2D. Here are a few common methods. 1. Bounding boxes. 2. Collision shapes. 3. Recasting, and 4. Kinetic body collisions. In this video, we are going to focus on collision shapes, and in the following videos, we are going to gradually introduce other mechanisms for collision detection handling. Let's look at the demo. On the left-hand side, it shows what we achieved from last video. On the right-hand side, we can see this is what we are going to build today. There are many differences between these two games. And on the right-hand side, we introduce collision detection, and we add collision detection for bullets. As you can see, once we got hit by the bullets from the boss, it will be absorbed by our air jet. The same thing for the boss. Once our bullets hit the boss, you can see at the point of contact, there will be a flame. So we also have a weapon system. So all these orbs, they represent different type of weapon. Once we touch it, our system, our weapon will be switched to the proper weapon type. We also have a basic AI built for the boss. As you can see, once we move the air fighter, the boss will follow us along the horizontal direction. Let's first change the background, which is controlled by main.gd shader. I got the code from godotshaders.com, and they have many different shaders. So I like this one specifically, so that's why I use it here. Let's work on player movement. We are going to use a SDF to control the direction of the player. Let's first go to project settings. In the map, we're going to introduce a few actions. We assign player right a key D. We're going to do the same thing for left. We use A. We use W for up. We use S for down. In fighter.gd, we introduce two new variables. One is speed, that will control the speed of the movement. Direction controls which direction we move this air fighter to. We introduce a new function called _control player. In here, we are detecting which key user pressed. If it's player right or player left, we are going to control the X value for direction. 1 represents right direction, -1 means left direction. Otherwise, when either right or left is released, we are going to set X to 0. That means there shouldn't be any movement along X, which means horizontal direction. The same thing goes for player down and up action. When it goes down, we give it a 1 value for y, otherwise it will be -1. And then when both keys are released, we are going to stop the movement along y direction. Once direction has been calculated, then we are going to use that along with speed and delta to calculate the position information. Because we don't want the player to go off screen, that's why here we also calculate the width height of the player. Along that, we are going to readjust the position for both y and x value. Here we use a clamp. Clamp here for both x, y, we give it a range. So the first value means the smallest. The second value means the maximum. Here you can see we use half width as the minimum and the game window size minus half of the width as the maximum. So this way, the firefighter won't go off screen along X direction. And we apply the same logic to Y. And that's how we control the player and make sure it won't go off screen. After this function is done, we just have to add it inside the process function. Now let's run the application. As you can see, we are able to move the air jet and it won't go off screen. In order for all bullets to cause damage, we need to enable collision detection. Let's do that now. So let's first go to bullets. We are going to do the same thing for all bullets. Let's just do one example, which is arrow bullets. Here, let's go to 2D design view. For our game to enable collision detection, we need to rely on aerial 2D. So once we add an arrow 2D as a child of this arrow bullet, we can add another child for aerial 2D, which is collision shape 2D. If you look at the shape of the bullet, we know we can just use a simple shape like a rectangle to cover it so that it knows how to receive detection, collision detection. So now we are going to select rectangle shape and we adjust the size of the rectangle. So just like that. Whenever this area has been hit, the bullet will be notified. So that's how we add a collision shape to arrow bullet so that it can have collision detection with other object. After adding collision detection for all the bullets, we need to add collision detection for the fighter. Let's first open the fighter scene. Do the same thing, we add an area 2D. And here we are going to use a different collision shape. We're going to use polygon 2D. With polygon 2D, we are able to specify a custom shape. So let's first click here. We can select add another point here because this is not a regular shape, right? We have to add a point and draw a path to specify the shape we want this air fighter to have, so that based on this customized shape, we're going to have like accurate collision detection. So once we cover all the area of the air jet, then we are done. So let's save it. Now it comes the most interesting part of the app. We are going to create a boss scene. So first we come to scene folder. We create a boss folder to hold boss scene related assets. And then we come back to main. We add a sprite 2D node. And we're going to copy the images for boss. And we use this boss as the texture. So this is gonna be our boss. Now we save this as a scene. We call it boss. Let's go inside the scene, and we are going to add area 2D so that the boss is able to detect collisions. Then I'm going to teach you a new way to add a collision shape. So select the sprite from like up here. You see sprite 2D. Click here, then you can select create collision polygon 2D siblings. Then here it will automatically trace the entire sprite for you, and then you can click create collision polygon 2D. So now we have the shape for it. Then we need to make sure this one is the child for the area 2D. That's why we need to drag it under area 2D. Then we get the job done. So one caveat here is we have so many points here. It's as accurate as it can be, but just keep in mind, the more points we have, the more resource intense it is going to be. So make sure, unless it's absolutely necessary, otherwise just use basic geometry shape for your collision detection shape. We need 2 bullets for the boss, and one of which is a blade. I will create a folder for blade, and here is animated sprite, so I just copy the image here, and I'm going to create animated sprite, and come to animation. I use new sprite frames from here, and I select the picture here, and vertical use 1 and horizontal use 4. Highlight all frames and add frames, and because I want this to repeat and I want this to start right away, so that's what I do. Now you can see that bullet is spinning. Okay, and then I also need to attach a script for it, and the same script will be used for the next bullet, and that is why I save it underneath bullet, so that bullets that want to share the same code will be able to access it. So I will just call it directional bullet. In this class, we're going to extend a bullet, and the only thing that we need to customize is the init rotation. This defines which angle our bullet is going to move along with in the game window, and we are going to save this as a scene, and it should be underneath bullet and blade. We are going to call this blade bullet. Let's go inside the scene and enable collision detection. Add area 2D. Then we add a collision shape. We're going to use a circle. So that should be it. Save it. We're done this bullet. So for the next bullet, they are the same thing, so I'm not going to do it here. After creating those new bullets type for boss, we are able to create Canon. So Canon is a sprite 2D. And we drag the PNG here, use it as texture, and we are going to save this as a Canon scene. So we come inside, we are going to create a script for it. And first thing we need to do is we need to introduce some variables. So most of the variables are familiar to you as we use them in the previous scripts. And here we have a rotate clockwise variable. This defines which direction we want to rotate this Canon, and also we give it a rotation degree. So this is how many degrees we want to move this Canon per frame. And also we preload this bullet scene so that we are able to initiate and create bullets on the fly. So the last thing we have to do is override the create method so that we are able to control how often we want to shoot bullet, and also which direction we want to rotate this Canon. And also last thing we want to do is we want to add a timer so that we are able to change the direction of the rotation periodically. So here we are going to use auto start, and we do it every 3 seconds. And now we need to add a timeout. In the timeout, we just have to change the flag for rotate clockwise variable. Now let's try this out. So boss, okay, we need to add this one here. Okay, add it here. Let's run the app. As you can see, so the rotator is working and is able to shoot bullets. Let's add 4 more, 3 more. So here and here, and the last one is here. So let me configure this. I want to make the second one clockwise and the last one clockwise. Let's run one more time. As you can see, we get the Canon shooting working. Good. Remember, we have those weapons that air fighter can pick. That's what we are going to do next. We go to bullet, we create a new folder called types. Here we are going to have 3 types. So arrow, circular, and flame for the air fighter, so they should be under types. And we are going to design those bullet type. What are we going to do here? We're going to use a sprite 2D. We call this bullet type. We save this as a scene, and we should go inside bullet types. Bullet type, and we go inside the scene. We need to add a particle effect for this. So here, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to give it 100. And shape should be sphere. So we give it sphere, and we give it 60 pixels for now. Okay, let's check it out. We need to change the gravity. So I will just give the gravity a 0. Okay. We also need to enable collision detection. Same thing, arrow 2D, and we give it a circular shape. Collision shape. We're going to give it a circular shape, and so let's just drag it like that. So we try this arrow for now and see. Okay, too big. So okay, I think that looks good. So we save it. We're going to introduce a script for it. under types. Okay, save it. Give it a class name. Here we introduce a variable. So this variable going to be texture path, and based on the texture path, we are going to display different image type. So in the ready, we are going to do this. We're going to first, based on the texture path, we load the texture and assign the texture to the sprite 2D. And here we also do some logic. And based on the constants, we are going to set a meta. So this meta gonna help us when the collision happens. We know what type this bullet is, then we can switch the bullet for the air jet. And in the process, we just have to move this weapon. So next thing we need to do is create a constants, and here we're just going to create a script. We call it bullet constants. So I want to save it under bullet type here. Yeah. So let's open this. Inside this is pretty simple. We just have to create a few constants, and that's it. So for the air fighter, we are able to have two different types of collision detection. One is the bullet from the enemy, from the boss. The other one is from the weapon. In order to distinguish these two types of collision, we are going to assign a group to area 2D. We need to go to the node, then we go to group. Here, we are going to introduce a name for it. We just call this group bullet types group. Then we add it. So once we handle the collision detection based on the area, we are able to get this metadata. We know if this is a weapon or a bullet. Now let's autoload this bullet constants. We go to autoload and call it bullet. So it is this bullet constants. Okay, add. Then we should be good now. So let's go to bullet type. Okay. Let's add the last thing for this tutorial, which is an explosion. We are going to add it as an item. So under item, we create another folder called explosion. Okay, let's move in the image. Okay, so we're going to use animated sprite for this. Okay, so this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, horizontal 5, vertical, okay, 4. Then we select everything. So it's here. Okay, let's play it. Okay, yeah, so that's the result. And we're gonna save this as a scene. Let's go inside the scene. And we are going to add a script. The script is pretty simple. Explosion. So what this does is we just have to wait for animation and events so that we are going to clear it from the screen. So we're going to go to here, select it, come here, animation finished. Then we go there, and here we just have to remove it. Free. And let's go to animation. So here we want to make sure is don't repeat, and that's it. Let's update the fighter script to properly handle weapon pickup. So let's go to the fighter scenes, and in the area 2D we are going to handle the collision detection against the weapon system. So here we are going to focus on area entered signal. We connect it with fighter, and here we just have to add these logics. So once the area 2D is in group of bullet types, this means this is weapon, then we are going to change the bullet type so that fighter knows what type of weapon it should use, and then we remove it from the screen. The other type is the enemy bullets. Once the air jet got hit by the bullet from the enemy, it should also remove it from the screen. Let's run this application. So as you can see, we have default, which is arrow bullet. So the weapon now is the ball. Let's get it. So as you can see, the bullet has changed. So this means the bullet system pickup mechanism is working. Let's work on the last piece. We need to add a script for the boss. Let's first go into the boss scene, and we need to introduce a new script. We call it boss. Here we're going to introduce some variables. First, we need to preload explosion class and also primary bullets, which were created previously. And the fighter, so this is the fighter. So we need to get the fighter position so that we are able to follow it along. So that will give it some basic AI behavior to the boss. And speed is how fast we want to move the boss. And shooting means we want to control the shooting behavior, and we don't want the boss to keep shooting all the time. We want to give it a cooldown period. So same thing for fire time threshold and fire time. So this will control how often we want to shoot a bullet. So the main logic actually are inside the process method. So first, based on the fighter position, and I also calculate the enemies, the boss's position, then calculate the new position where I should move this boss to. Here you can see I use a linear interpolation. The purpose of this method is to make the movement smooth. And then after the new position is calculated, and I want to make sure I only move it along X value, and keep the Y value as is. So this way, the boss will only move along horizontal direction. And when it's shooting, then I'm going to instantiating a primary bullet and move it. And the last thing is ready method. In the ready, I want to get initialize the fighter so that I'm able to calculate its position. when it comes to collision detection, I need to do this. So we have this. We have arrow 2D. The same thing I need to connect with entered. So here, once the area is in the bullets group, and I need to, based on the contacting points, I need to add an explosion. The last thing is I want to add a timer. So this timer is control the shooting. I want to give it a cooldown period. So here I will just give it 3 seconds and auto start. Then when timeout, I will just flip the value for shooting. So that way I'm able to cool down the shooting for a period of time. Let's run a final time to see the end result. So as you can see, boss is able to follow our player, and also various different types of bullets were firing up, and we are able to pick up weapon and change it. So the air jet is able to intercept all the bullets. Once bullets hits the air jet, it will be disappearing. Okay, I won't stop here, and thank you very much for spending today with me, and I hope to see you in the next lesson. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post it in the comment section or go to our Discord server to ask your questions.